a question that's come in from Andy Mitchell, and that is about people in precarious employment and people who are low paid and actually receiving universal benefit. What do you think, as a Union General Secretary, is there going to be benefits? What Andy's saying, is there going to be any benefits to people on low pay part-time workers and things of that nature?
Well, I think in relation, thank Andy for the question, because it is a really good one, and it's something that as a union we take incredibly seriously. For as long as I've been involved in PCS, we've campaigned for better social security, but what that actually means is a complete overhaul of the welfare benefits system. And I mean, the issues around sanctions and conditionality, and how in theory the improvements in the bill should address a lot of those concerns, but I mean they won't happen. Can't rely on the government's goodwill to make those things happen, and it'll be down to us as a movement to put pressure on them to make sure they do. And I think Andy is involved with Unite Community. Clearly PCS works alongside Unite Community to try and put pressure on the government around these issues, but it is a real concern. I mean, just this last few weeks, we have become aware of a real scandal that's unfolding in the DWP, where because of continued low pay in the civil service over, not just the last government, but the one before it, and pay being held down, 2,000 DWP workers, so that's one of the biggest government departments, 2,000 of their own workforce risk deportation because they don't earn enough to stay in this country. And that's because of the way that they've treated pay over, not it was the Tories and before then the Condems, and to be honest, it was an issue long before that. And so whether it's the welfare benefits system and an overhaul of the sanctions and conditionality regime, or whether it's these issues of people in low pay precarious work, and I include sadly some of our own workforce in terms of all of that, I think the government really has to adopt a different approach in order to make clear that they are different from what's gone before. And I think at the moment, because they are trying to face both ways and appease big business at the same time as trying to keep the unions on side and avoid industrial action, they seem a little bit rudderless in terms of where they're going with a lot of this. And a lot of the discussions that I think we will need to have as a movement is how we put pressure to ensure that what's in the bill and what they've committed to is implemented fully, but actually in the areas where it falls short, that pressure is put on them to do more and to deliver more, to make it very clear that they have a different position to what's gone before, and it won't just be a continuation of austerity, because I'm afraid for a number of workers, not just in PCS, but across the whole of the economy at the moment, things don't feel very different. And some of the announcements that have been made just this week around plans around the spending review, whether that's the findings of the pay review bodies and the figure that they're quoting, which 2.8% isn't going to address what's happened before. And so we have a real task on our hands. And I think the work of the IER and the meeting tonight and meetings like it will be really, really important in terms of trying to get the best out of what's been committed to, but also trying to push them where things need to go a little bit further. I know we work very hard with our parliamentary group to try and implement changes, but it's no secret that Labour MPs have been told not to raise amendments and not to pursue aspects of the bill where improvements are needed. And so it will fall to the movement and to all of us working together to try and implement that change in order to make sure that all of those commitments that were a Labour manifesto commitments are actually implemented in full, and that it actually feels different for people, whether they're in work, whether they're in receipt of in-work benefit, or whether they are unable to work in the way that has been described in terms of sanctions and conditionality. So that is sorry, it's quite a long-winded answer.
No, it's okay.
I think we've got a huge task ahead of us to get this through. Thank you.
Okay.